Hey everyone, Andrig with Andrig's Aircooled Technology, back with a little, news on a development that I've had. When I first created the Evolution 1, and it was branded the lightweight cooling fan, it only fit the doghouse fan shroud. And I got to really thinking about that because when I did the dual inlet squirrel cage Evolution 2 fans, I had versions for early fan shroud and doghouse fan shroud. Now, obviously, I didn't sell nearly as many for the early fan shroud as I did for the doghouse fan shroud. Most people have upgraded to either an aftermarket doghouse fan shroud or an OEM switched it out, since you can do that fairly easily. And even with an early crankcase, you can get adapter seals for the oil cooler to use the offset oil cooler on an earlier crankcase. So it's actually really easy to update to a doghouse fan shroud, and most people seem to have done that. But I did get more orders on the early fan shrouds than I really kind of expected to get. And so I did sell some number of them. It was probably somewhere between 5 and 10% of the total orders. So it wasn't too bad. So I was trying to think of a way, can I make this fan fit in an early fan shroud? And I've done it. And I had some designs for some other stuff from before that actually kind of triggered the thought. So what I did is I changed the mount hub and I shrunk it down because there's not as much room in the fan shroud because of the structure. And I've created out of the 3-piece backing plate, the very back part is the part that kind of sticks into the fan shroud a lot, taking up a lot of space on that third piece. So I've done a design that shrinks that down, and it shrinks it down in such a way it still lets airflow in a very similar way to the way it would flow out of a regular backing plate. So you'd use 2 of the 3 pieces, and I would provide a third piece backing plate. And here's the prototype, what it looks like. So this is the back third piece that you can kind of see right here. This right now is just printed in PLA for prototyping purposes, just to get this to fit. And I got the prototype mounting hub on the fan, and the fan fits beautifully in there. I don't know if you can really see that well, but the fan fits really, really nicely with this. There's actually plenty of room, so you get the full width of this fan, just like if it was in a doghouse fan shroud, in an early fan shroud, just with one extra piece. So I've got one step left to do on this, and it clears. And you would need to use, obviously, you'd have to be converted to a minimum of 12-volt system. Don't have to use an alternator. You can use a 12-volt generator as well. I've just tested here with an alternator, but I have a generator as well. Probably do a little test fitting there, just to make sure there's nothing funky about the differences. But we have that, working and sitting in there and fitting, which is like awesome. You'll really get some really great airflow, better than you would get out of the doghouse. And of course, you could combine that with an oil cooler block off and use an external oil cooler. So these early fan shrouds, can be used effectively, even for higher performance engines. But it's just a great addition to the thing. Now it'll cost a little bit more. Is obviously a new component. The mount itself is different. I can't just share the cost of the mounts because I had to shrink it down to pull the fan in closer to the alternator generator side so that it would clear. So with that, I will be probably in the next couple of weeks introducing this as something on the website that you can purchase. But what I've got to do to finish it is actually kind of pick the production material for this third piece of the backing plate, and which I think I know what I'm going to do with that, and that'll affect the pricing. But I need to actually make one, print one, 3D print one, and make sure it's fine that in the production material and the fit is still good and everything still holds over. Although I don't anticipate anything usually going between my prototyping PLA and the production materials that I do use, there's usually no difference accuracy-wise of the parts and how they fit, layer heights, etc. It all works great. So it shouldn't really be a big deal. And essentially there's very little or no kind of stress on this part, so it should work really, really well. And so that, for you guys that have early fan shrouds, or even aftermarket non-doghouse fan shrouds that only fit the early fans, this is an option for you to get some improved cooling, on your system. Just like I said, you do have to be 12 volt. This will not work with the 6 volt generators. Those were one piece backing plates that I'd have to probably do a stamped steel part for that, since it's not in 3 pieces like this, and there's probably not enough market demand for that kind of thing. The tooling cost of that would be too high. So this is a more inexpensive way of doing it. And of course the mounting hub itself is different because I had to shrink it, and the cost of that will be slightly higher because it really doesn't make any sense to make it in the same volume, and the volume I make the other stuff at is high enough that it actually makes a very significant difference in the cost. So it'd probably be significantly lower volume, hence more cost. So, and if you think there's demand out there for that, I think there is, based on the dual inlet fans. And I think the dual inlet fans on engines that are mild are a little too much, close to someone who'd be using early fan shroud on an engine probably doesn't have much more than stock anyway, and they will definitely, the dual inlet fans will definitely overcool the engine. So this is a better option if that's where you are and that's what you want to maintain. You just want some better cooling, especially hot summer temperatures, depending where you live. Even if you don't live in a hot area, many times the load you put on the engines, if you hilly driving, whatever, a bus, heavy bus, that kind of thing, improving the cooling system is a good thing. So generally speaking, that's kind of where we are with that. And I think this is going to be really nice in terms of an option for people. And like I said, it's the exact same fan, so you're really able to shoehorn a much larger fan than you could otherwise with this kind of setup. So it's really great. So yeah, I think that's kind of the things that need to be done there. And we'll hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll have this as a product option for you guys to order. And so anyone has an early fan shroud, wants some improved cooling, can go this route, use the same fan, slightly different. It might be more than a couple weeks. Now that I'm thinking about it, more than a couple weeks, because I'd have to manufacture the hubs. That'll take a little time. I don't know what the lead time right now is. So, but yeah. So just let me know, in the comments, whatever, if this is something that appeals to you, to get better cooling in an early fan shroud. So I appreciate it. Thanks. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.